Well, hello there, and welcome back into the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. I'm your host, Sam Hind, and today I want to talk to you about one of my very favorite topics and analogies, and that is how to appropriately build a relationship with your ideal customer. And I like to talk about this by way of dating your customer. This is an analogy we often use, and here's why. Before you switch off and go, what is she on about right now? This sounds like totally got nothing to do with social media and highly inappropriate, but bear with me here. We like to have a little bit of fun around this one. If you were in a relationship with somebody, or you were wanting to be in a relationship with somebody for the very first time, you wouldn't enter into that relationship by asking the person to marry you or something thereabouts. You wouldn't ask for a great commitment from them before you'd earned the right to do it. I know that if I had met Greg for the very first time and I'd simply stepped up to the plate and said, "Hey, how are you? Will you marry me?" There would have been a Greg-shaped hole in the wall, in the nearest wall, and quite rightly so. But the problem is that this is how most of us show up on social media. I see people doing this again and again and again. "Hi, how are you? Will you buy from me? Hey, you going? Will you book with me? Hey there, are you interested in joining me or starting a new business?" The thing is that we all know this. People buy from people they like, know, and trust. So, how do you build the trust? Well, I'm going to share with you today in this episode a simple formula that absolutely anybody can apply quickly and easily with very little work that works. This is a proven strategy, and I'm really excited to share this with you. I know you're going to find this super helpful. You might want to take some notes with this one, because if you implement this strategy in your business, I guarantee not only will your social media strategy perform better, but you will build better, longer lasting relationships that grow a sustainable business. So let's dive on in and talk about the dating strategy. So let's start off by talking about the process that I'm going to share with you today. This is a really simple process or strategy that has been proven again and again. We've taught this to hundreds of thousands of people. We see people getting results from this literally instantaneously as soon as they implement it through any social media platform. This doesn't have to be just Facebook. You can even do this off social media. This works in so many ways. But the process here is simply a matter of building the relationship and earning the right to take it to the next step. So how this works is we call it date, 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 connect, or date, 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 commitment. And so what I mean by that is, if you were building a relationship with somebody that might become your future husband or wife or partner in life, you would start with some dating. And that dating can involve numerous things. In this case, we're going to talk about dating in the context of giving value. The date is a value add. And essentially what you're doing is building the relationship, building the trust, which is what you do when you go on a date. You get to know each other, you build the relationship and build the trust. So how this works is we break it down into a 4-step process. So when you have somebody that connects with you online, on Facebook, you meet them for the first time, before you go down the road of, "Hey, how are you? Would you like to look at some products? Or can I interest you in the business? Or do you want to have a chat about joining me?" First, we take a few steps back, because it's really easy to enter into any of those discussions with what I need, what's in it for me, the objective that I've got to achieve. But I want you to put that all to the side. And before we go there, we start with the date, 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 which is value, value, value. So it's really simple. This is how we do this. Step number 1 is we come up with a piece of value of any description. That piece of value, you want to have 3 of them to do this process well. So the value would be a recipe, a how-to, a download, a playbook. It might be a free how-to training that you're doing, a webinar of some sort, a walkthrough, a video tutorial. a checklist. There are so many different ways that you could provide a piece of value to your audience. Now, here's the key here. The date needs to be of interest to the other party, meaning your piece of value needs to be of something that your audience, your dream customer cares about. So, for example, if your business is in the health industry, and you are helping people with weight loss, for example, you might have some supplements or thereabouts. Some things that your audience might find valuable could be some great healthy recipes. It could be some checklists, so pantry checklists or weekday checklists. It could be some hot tips on super quick exercises you can do with the kids. There are loads of different things that you could do in this space. If your business is in travel, and we've got loads of direct selling businesses in travel that are up and coming at the moment, it could be something along the lines of a packing checklist, 10 places in the world that you must visit, some of the most beautiful but obscure locations around the globe that you need to know about. It could be a how-to download for how to cleverly fold things in your suitcase to make more room. There are so many, and I'm just thinking off the top of my head here. There are so many different things you could do in that space. It could be packing hacks. I know there's lots of those out there. If you are in the space of beauty products, cosmetics, all of those sorts of things, maybe even in the natural realm, it could be, a checklist for 10 chemicals to look out for, or 10 chemical codes that you didn't know you needed to be aware of and what you could find them in. It might be, 10 swaps to reduce chemicals in your home. It might even be some kind of a challenge. So, come up with 3 different value adds or dates. And what you're going to do is really simple. We start with number 1, date number 1. And that is simply sending a message out to the individual. And it's really important that you do this one-on-one rather than just mass sending this out, because you want everybody to feel like they matter. They're not just a number. So personalizing this is very important. You could do this by voice note, or you could do it by sending out a messenger message, an email, a text, whatever contact you have with that person. And what you're going to start with is offer of date number 1. And it might look something really simple like this. It might be, hey, Sam. Always use their name, because the name's critically important for them to know that they matter and that you've personalized it for them. So, hey, Sam, I found a brilliant recipe for a really nourishing, delicious salad that is super quick and easy, and it's my family's new favorite. I thought you might love to try it too. I'm super happy to share the recipe with you. Just type recipe in response to this message, and if you want it, I'll send it through, or something along those lines. It might be something like, hey, Sam, I've been chatting with a number of people in the last couple of weeks who have all been asking for new ways to insert whatever it is here. So I've put together a little checklist to provide some super simple solutions to this problem. If you would find this valuable and would like me to send this through to you, just type checklist in here, or just let me know and I would happily flick this through to you. So the first key to providing date option number 1 is use language you would use. So if you were talking to someone face to face, what would you say? If I was talking to someone in my office here, I might say, hey, Julianne, I tried out this amazing new recipe last night. I reckon you and Kevin would love it. Do you want me to share it with you? That's the sort of language that I might use if I was face to face. And that's the sort of language you should use online too. So don't feel like it has to be super perfected or professional. It just has to be you. So date number 1 is your piece of value or your date offer, and then just a really simple message offering it. Then maybe 10 days, 2 weeks later, you're going to go in with date number 2. And it doesn't matter if they responded to number 1 or not. We're going to go in with date number 2. And date number 2 is another piece of value. Not the same one. We're going to try something different this time. So again, it could be a checklist. It could be a download. It could be a playbook. It could be a recipe. It could be a walkthrough or a how-to. Whatever that looks like for you, get a little bit creative. There are hundreds, thousands of different things that you could do. By the way, a little hot cheat here. If you go to Canva, you'll see loads and loads of download templates. You can insert a recipe really quickly and easily, or a checklist, or a how-to. Just search in Canva and you'll find loads of examples you can easily use that will save you a lot of time. So we go in with date number 2. Then we've got date number 3. Now, date number 3 is something that I would go in if they've responded to either of the first 2. Now, it doesn't mean if they don't respond to the first 2, it doesn't mean you don't do anything at all. It doesn't mean you ignore them, but just let it cool off for a little while and come back maybe in 3 months' time and offer them another date. But for date number 3, if someone has responded to 1 or 2 and said, yes, please send it through, or both of them, you're going to flick them a date number 3. And then following date number 3 is where we enter with the commitment. So that's where we ask. That's where we take it over to what do we want to get out of them rather than the giving all of the time. So we've done 3 gives. Now we're going to do an ask. Now we're going to take it over to what do we want. And the ask you can do in a really fun, unique, and clever way. Now, I wouldn't, by the way, do the asking if they've responded to none of the first 3 date offers, okay? So the asking happens when they've responded to 1, 2, or all 3. Now, it doesn't matter if you gave them a 1 date offer and then another one and they only responded to one of those. You can still go in now with the commitment request because you've given them 3 pieces of value, or at least you've offered them, and they've interacted once, maybe twice. But it would be fair to say, if somebody interacts with you once, twice, or even 3 times and says, yes, I would love that piece of value, I would love that date, I would love that bit of support, that it's likely that they potentially could be an ideal customer for you and might be interested in having a further conversation. So what do we do for stage number 4? Well, that can look like a number of different things. There are a few different objectives you might go for here, and we're not going to go straight in for the sale. No, we're going just for a light commitment. So that light commitment for me, ideally would be a conversation. I want to get to know you face to face, or Zoom to Zoom, or phone to phone, or, whatever that needs to be. So for me, I love to take the conversation offline and get to know them one-on-one. So for me, I would usually offer an opportunity to connect with them in some way, shape, or form personally. So, hey, you available for a quick Zoom? Or are you available for a coffee? So that could look like, hey, Sam, I'm going to be in your area on Tuesday and I would absolutely love to catch up for a coffee. Have you got time either at this time or this time for us to catch up? By the way, really, really great sales tool if you give people 2 options. So it's not asking, would you like to? It's assuming that they might. And it's giving them 2 to choose from. You're much more likely to get a response if you say, hey, are you available at 2 or at 3:30, rather than, hey, would you like to catch up at some stage on Tuesday? So I always try and give them 2 opportunities or options, so that the question is not will you, it's which one would you? Would you be available at 2 or at 3:30? So that's way number 1. Another way of doing this is to create some demand. So a very clever way of creating some demand around this space might be something like, hey, Sam, I'm looking for 5 people who would like to reduce chemicals in their home and do my 10-day swap it out challenge. You came to mind and I'd love to have a quick 20-minute chat about it with you if you're interested in being included. So what you've done here is you've created demand because you've given a minimal number of people that can be involved. You've told them what problem you're going to solve and you've put a time frame around it. So another way of doing that might be something like, hey, Sam, I'm looking for 5 people that are keen to lose 5 kilos in 5 weeks without dieting or heavy exercise. I know that this is in high demand post-Christmas. I'd love to have a chat with you if this is something you might be interested in. It could, and by the way, you want to be really careful with anything relating to weight loss or income claims. So if you were to do one that was something along the lines of, hey, Sam, I'm looking for 3 people that want to earn an extra $500 of income in the next 5 weeks. Is this something that you might be interested in? You want to be very, very careful about compliance and income claims. So before you go using either something that promises a certain health outcome or a financial outcome, be very careful. Just check in and make sure with your compliance department at the company that you're with that it's okay for you to use that one. Otherwise, just tweak the words a little bit and adjust it slightly. The point here is that you want to give them create a little bit of demand. So don't make it look like you're doing this for everyone. You want to give them an outcome that they're going to get out of this, and you want to give them a time frame. Alternatively, you're just going to take the conversation offline. Hey, you're available for a really quick 10, 15-minute chat. I'd love to get to know what your goals are, your personal goals are this year. Or I'd love to know what your health focus is at the moment so I can provide you with some more recipes that might be helpful for you. Whatever that looks like. So that is the fourth part. So we've got the dating strategy here is date, date, date. So date 1, date 2, date 3, followed by asking for a like commitment. And then we start it all over again and we go back to date 1, date 2, date 3. Now, I know that people that use this strategy, this is a really powerful one to use. And often the conversation will come offline before you even get to step 4. But usually that happens on their terms, not because you've hounded and hassled, but because they've asked you for further information or a question about how you might be able to serve them. They're not silly. They know what you do. So when it's the right time, if you've sown that enough of those seeds, they're going to turn to you anyway. And when you provide them value, of course, they're going to do that business with you over the other person. The amazing thing about this tool is it's one that I do not feel is used anywhere near widely enough, which means if you're doing it, you're going to stand out from the rest because this is such a powerful tool that is so underutilized, so easy to do. It's free. You don't have to run ads to get leads by doing it this way, and you can do it with anybody. So if someone comments on one of your posts, why not offer to give them a date, a little piece of value, and just see if it's something of interest to them? You may send out, 5 of these a day, 10 of these a day, whatever that might look like, and you'll work out eventually what your conversion rate is going to be on that. So just as I wrap up, I want to just encourage you though to make sure no matter what that you know your numbers. Your numbers are critically important to knowing what you need to do, what activities you need to do to grow your business. So make sure that you know if I want to earn a certain income or I need a certain number of team recruited each month to get my business to where I want to go, that we can break those numbers down and we know what those daily activities need to be. You should be able to work out how many dates you need to offer each day based on what your business goals are and the growth that you want to achieve. So it may be for you that you're going to offer 5 dates every single day. And then by the time you get through, say, 3 months, you're back to the first person again and you're reoffering them another date. So whether or not they got all the way through to the commitment process or whether you're going to consistently provide them with some dates until they get to the stage where they're warmed up enough to make a further commitment to you, or you both decide you're not the right fit. And this is the whole point of this process. We want to build long-term sustainable relationships that grow your business. I want people shouting about you from the rooftops, and they're going to do that if you build relationships the right way. Most importantly, by building relationships like this, you are not going to be inappropriately reaching out. You're not going to be breaching social media or the company's community standards. But what you are going to be doing is genuinely providing value, meeting your customers where they're at, and leading with value versus selling. And this is how we sell without selling. So go ahead, get yourself some dates. I can't wait to see how you go with this. And if you want to know any more about how you can do some further learning with us, we've got some amazing memberships available to you. We would absolutely love to do a deep dive with you every week and do further training with you. If you want to find out more about our Accelerator membership group, the platforms that we offer, some of the amazing tools that our team have been piling resources into providing for you, you can find out a little bit more on our website, which will pop into the link with the show notes here. Or alternatively, you can reach out to us with any inquiries at any time to grow@oxano.global, and we would love to hear from you. That's it from me today. Have an amazing, amazing week, and we'll see you on the podcast again next week. Bye for now. Thank you for joining us in this episode of the Direct Selling Accelerator podcast. If you love listening and you found that this was helpful for your direct selling business, please like and subscribe to our YouTube channel. You can also check out the recommended video that's popped up on your screen right here. I look forward to seeing you again next time. Bye for now.